Thank you very much for staying. Welcome back to the marketplace. Now to a very fair story. And second deputy governor of the central bank, Dr. Johnson Isiama, is set to resign from the bank. Sources say he has taken his leave, leading to his exit from the central bank by the close of the month. The following Business Desk report has more.
We are learning that even though there has been oral communication about him stepping down, that is yet to be officially documented. Joy Business can also confirm that there was communication to some senior persons at the Bank of Ghana about him stepping down. Sources say what has delayed that official letter to confirm this move is about the right package being put together for Dr. Johnson Isiama. According to persons close to the second deputy governor, he was willing to stay, but that move would only happen because he's been pushed out. Sources say an official letter to confirm this action would only happen after an acceptable package has been put together. Some industry persons say when this move finally happens, that may not be good for efforts to protect Bank of Ghana's independence.
Now, the licensing of LPG bottling plants is now expected to be completed in January to pave way for the full implementation of the new distribution model in August. This will see LPG distributed to consumers throughout retail outlets, but also take deliveries from the bottling plants to be sited away from highly populated and commercial areas. Chief Executive of the National Petroleum Authority, Alhassan Tampuni, says the Stakeholder Implementation Committee has so far taken key decisions to ensure successful rollout.
New cylinder recirculation model replaces the current distribution method in use. It is part of measures put in place by government to forestall frequent fire disasters at LPG filling stations, which continue to destroy life and property. Despite several agitations by LPG marketers across the country, government is keen in rolling it out. CEO of the National Petroleum Authority, Hassan Tampoli, says government will complete the licensing regime for the new distribution model by December next year for full implementation to commence in August.
And what we are doing is to be able to get the licensing framework ready in January, in time to be able to issue out the first set of licenses, so that we have been assured by those who have been in the business before that it takes about 6 months minimum and about 9 months maximum to be able to put together a bottling plants. So if we are able to roll out and start granting the licenses in January, all things being equal, by August we should have some of the LPG bottling plants in place. And we anticipate that each bottling plant should have a minimum of minimum capacity to bottle about 2,000 LPG cylinders in an hour.
Mr. Tampoli disclosed that government is yet to settle on companies to be licensed in the bottling plant.
We haven't settled on particular companies. What we have seen a lot of companies show interest in the policy, and on the basis of that, we are going to look at the framework that we have put together. We have put together the licensing framework for LPG bulk distribution companies, and then the LPG bottling plants, the LPG distribution companies, the LPG transportation companies. We have a draft licensing framework which will fine-tune in the course of the holidays, so that by the second week of January, we would have reviewed all the license applications that have come through and see which ones qualify and meet the minimum standards, and we'll start granting the licenses.
LPG marketers in the country are threatening a demonstration this week if the Ministry of Energy fails to address their concerns.
Let's still stay with oil and gas, and Parliament is demanding more transparency in how the country's oil resources are spent. They are concerned some of the projects the money has been spent on over the years do not exist on the ground, contributing to a debate on the 2016 PIAC report on the management of petroleum revenue. Chairman of the Energy Committee of Parliament, Emmanuel Akwesi-Gyamfi, said the situation is worrying. Pardon. Let's now join our correspondent, Joseph Opoku-Gakpo, in Parliament to bring us an update on this particular situation. Good afternoon, Gakpo. Welcome to the marketplace.
Good afternoon, Emmanuel.
Now, if you can tell us what exact projects is Parliament raising concern on?
So the chairman of the Energy Committee in Parliament is drawing attention to what he says some school projects with regards to money that went to government to support the budget generally that had been invested in projects like that we didn't get value for money for. He claims that in some of the instances the amounts were inflated and the situation and the amounts weren't fully accounted for. He thinks that there's a specific provision in the law which requires that every year the finance minister presents a detailed list of the projects that government funding from all resources that are going into the rolling out of various projects. Such a list is presented to Parliament for MPs to do the necessary scrutiny and satisfy themselves that the amount had been used appropriately. He says that's not been happening over the years, and he thinks that's the reason why we've seen situations of some of these amounts being misused. And so he was asking that the Speaker of Parliament give a firm directive to the Finance Minister and any other subsequent ministers of finance who would come, so that then they would make this particular list available to Parliament per the provisions in the law as a way to ensure that these monies are used appropriately. Eventually, the recommendations in the report and the suggestions from the MPs was actually approved by the House, and the indication is that the directive has gone out that as much as possible, the various managers of the petroleum resources, including the GNPC and Government of Ghana, generally adhere to the necessary standards of transparency and ensure that the amounts are used judiciously.
Now, these projects in question, are they projects under education or health or infrastructure? And have these people, the people being put in charge of the projects, have they been questioned on why the projects have not been confirmed?
So mainly the reference was to projects that had come up in the education sector. And the PIAC report, which was eventually approved by the House, also made reference to the inability of various finance ministers to report on how these monies are spent as a situation that is encouraging the suspected misuse of the stamps. And so that was the specific reference. I've been having a conversation subsequently with the chairman of the committee, Emmanuel Akwesi-Jemfi, and he says that for now, he wouldn't want to go ahead of himself and draw conclusions about maybe some of these misuse of the sums being as a result of corruption or being backed by any ill motive. But they would rather want to see the detailed expenses in terms of how these amounts were spent, so that then they would be able to satisfy themselves appropriately. The necessary questioning has not been done from what we've gathered. It's not as if they've gone ahead to do the cross-checking from those who spend some of these amounts. They say for now they would want to see the full list of the amount and how it was spent to then come to a concrete decision on what the way forward should be.
Are we therefore expecting retrieving of this amount or otherwise?
So that's the indication that it is actually been given, not exactly to retrieve, but for now to satisfy themselves that the amounts were used appropriately. When they see the final list eventually, it's when they see that the monies were not used appropriately as was expected, that's when a move will actually be undertaken to ensure that these sums are actually retrieved from the individuals. But there were other recommendations that were contained in this particular PIAC report. There have been concerns about the Volta River Authority not paying its debt, which is owed to the Ghana Gas Company. That's also captured in this particular report. In fact, the report mentions that more than $300 million in amount are supposed to be paid by VRA to Ghana Gas Company after Ghana Gas Company supplied gas to VRA to power its thermal plant. The PIAC report is raising concerns that we've not seen the payment of this debt in question, and that could, to a certain extent, threaten the very survival of the Ghana Gas Company. And so Parliament, in this particular report and its approval, has again been recommending that VRA take the necessary steps to clear that debt that is owed the Ghana Gas Company, so that then they can continue to run smoothly.
All right, thank you so much for your time. Joseph Opoku-Gakpo is our parliamentary correspondent. This biggest oil marketing company, GOIL, says plans are far advanced to finalize the process of constructing a multi-purpose bitumen plant in the country. The plant, when completed, will process bitumen to serve Ghana and some neighboring West African countries to aid road construction. Ebenezer Sabute has more on this development.
Indigenous oil marketing company Guel says plans are advanced to finalize the process of constructing a multi-purpose bitumen plant in Ghana. The plant, to be sited at Tema in the Greater Accra region, will be the first bitumen processing plant to be built by an oil marketing company in the country. It is expected to produce about 10,000 metric tons of bitumen per day. Chief Operating Officer of Guel, Alex Josiah Azio, has been explaining to Joy Business how this development will impact the road construction sector.
We have gone very, very far, and I'm sure not too long you will see us, cutting the sword for the construction of the bitumen plants. And I can assure you it is going to be one of the modern plants you can ever have in the country. And we are looking at the new trends in bitumen, not just what we have currently on the market, but the new trend, the new development in Europe and then in the US, that will help improve our road network and also bring the cost of road construction down. That is our main focus, and we believe that it will be in the interest of the country to support us as well.
The Chief Operating Officer also revealed some strategic plans by the company to add value to its operations in the future.
What I would say is that we'll continue with our strategy of expansion. We'll also look at competitive pricing. We'll look at the quality of our products on offer, and then service delivery as well. And then also try and diversify, go into other areas that will bring in a lot more value to our cherished shareholders. This is something that we pledge to do, and we hope that as we diversify, we'll go into other areas where we think will bring enormous benefits to the company.
Guel is currently number 3 on the Ghana Club 100 rankings for corporate Ghana.
And still on Power, Cabinet is to discuss a possible merger between the Volta River Authority, VRA, and the Bui Power Authority. The merger is being proposed to consolidate efforts at hydropower generation. 600 megawatts of power is expected to be generated by Bui in 2018. The move is to help push the renewable energy agenda of government. Meanwhile, the 250 megawatts solar generation plant, which was to have started, is yet to commence. We'll bring you details on this particular story in our subsequent bulletins. Now, let's move on to another story making headlines in this bulletin. And the Chief Executive of Mensgold, Nana Appiah-Mensah, has described recent comments by the Bank of Ghana on its operations as reckless and irresponsible. These comments were captured in the Twitter post. Now, George Rafi has been following up on this issue, and he has joined me right here in the studio to help answer some questions. Now, George, you're welcome.
Thank you so much, Yafe.
First, give us a little background to all.
So you remember that earlier this year, somewhere in August, the Bank of Ghana issued a statement warning the public not to place their deposits with Mensgold. Why? Because they don't have that license to actually take deposits from the public. Earlier, that was last week also, the Bank of Ghana issued a statement in what some people are describing as more of the final warning to the public on this particular issue. All that Mensgold is actually denying that they don't have, they are not actually taking deposit from the public, and that the Bank of Ghana is not being truthful on this issue. So it's been more of a tango between the Bank of Ghana and Mensgold is insisting that they have license from the Minerals Commission to actually buy gold, and that is what they are doing. But as in taking deposit from the public, they are not doing that.
This time, Mr. Mensah is so confident of his position, but what else has he been saying?
Well, it's interesting, Yafin. I just want to try and read you some exact wording of what he's put up on his Twitter post, and it says that the Bank of Ghana has been very dishonest and irresponsible and very reckless. It's acting with the highest form of impudence and impunity. The Bank of Ghana is well informed that Mensgold is not operating is operating within the legal framework as at now. Where is Ghana's Commodities Trading Act? Stop this hypocrisy. And this is what he has actually posted on his Twitter page. And now, another thing that gives you some inclination that maybe he would go to the court, and he's saying that I stand to defend the 1992 Constitution of Ghana with my blood and exploit all available remedies therein. I urge all to resist oppressors' rule. Ghana is the land of my birth, and I will be the land of my death, and I will rise, say no to arbitrary rule and injustice in our society. So this is what he's putting up on his Twitter post, and if you can draw the inference and all the rest, you know that possibly going to the court would be the next line of action for him.
So for now, what is the Bank of Ghana doing, and why is this taking too long
well,
a time?
Based on earlier information that we actually picked up, it was clear that there have been instances where the bank had gone into close some institutions, even though it had the power and the right, and there were some legal issues and them going to court and all the rest. So it looks like there were several investigations that they had to do to establish what Mensgold is doing before they take that action. And also, don't forget that they are working with other institutions. You can talk about the Minerals Commission, the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources as well. So it is not that it wouldn't be an individual action. You need the effort of all these institutions to come together and move in on this. And that is what we are hearing, that it might be delaying the process. But it looks like they are closing that page on this investigation for that possible action to happen, and possibly we could see the regulator moving in to close Mensgold down.
Now, with all these current developments, do you think people should caution themselves as to whether they should deposit some more money?
Well, I think that the regulator might indeed have the final say on this, that why are they warning the public? Because, you know, other things that have happened recently, and you could talk about the DKM one as well, and there have been several savings and loans going down, and these depositors rush to the Bank of Ghana to bail them out. So that is why the regulator is playing that role of ensuring that the right thing is actually done. And it looks like maybe it might just be a matter of time for that action to be taken.
All right, so we'll wait and see. But before you go, George, second deputy governor of the central bank is set to resign.
Yeah, that is where strong information that we are indeed picking, and it looks like we are yet to get that official letter confirming that. So some would say that let's watch this space, and several things have happened behind the scenes from persons who are close to him confirming this, as in whether that signature has been signed, that official letter has been signed. What we are picking up that has not been done as we speak now. But what we can confirm is that he is on his way out.
All right, so could that have any impact on the operations of the central bank?
Well, there are several deputy governors, and one would say that it was expected. Now, in most of these instances, you want to look at whether the market expected it. And if you engage those who matter in this market, it was just when would it happen than whether it wouldn't happen. So the market itself, they've absorbed itself or cushioned themselves against any of these shocks in terms of this happening. And ask yourself that, can anybody else do what he was doing? Maybe yes. So that shock, but it's about the process and how it's being done. People are worried that we are trying to protect the Bank of Ghana's independence. So how would this action impact on that one?
Thank you very much, George.
Thank you so much, Yafe.
And that was George Yafe. Now, President of Group Ideal, Dr. Nikote Jani, is renewing calls for the development of a single agenda for the growth of the nation's economy. He said this is very necessary considering the kind of growth the country is recording compared with advanced economies. He shared these thoughts in an interview with Joy Business after he was recognized by the Chartered Institute of Marketing Ghana this morning. The following report.
Many development experts have advocated a national development agenda for the country as the best way to develop. President of Group Ideal, Dr. Nikote Jani, has renewed calls for the development of a common agenda as a nation. According to the member of the Council of State, there will be better economic growth if one development agenda is used by successive governments.
If you look at the kind of resources we have as a continent, we should not be experiencing this level of poverty. But what do we do? What do we see? That they take decisions, African leaders unfortunately take decisions that will make them win an election, rather than will improve the life of the people. And so, for me, it's exciting me that we need to have a national and continental agenda. We need to know where we are moving to and what we want to achieve. We can say, rather than everybody come and decide what he or she wants to do. We cannot develop like that. Somebody has started a road, and the person is not in power, and then somebody can say, I'm not interested in the road. I'm interested in classroom blocks. And so, if you put value on uncompleted projects in this country, it's appalling.
Dr. Nico Tejani spoke to Joy Business after he was recognized by the Chartered Institute of Marketing Ghana, CIMG, at the 28th Presidential Dinner Dance in Accra. The event for this year, under the theme Data-Driven Marketing for Competitive Advantage. Kojo Mata is president of the CIMG.
Whether we like it or not, all marketers need to dig into the numbers in order to improve their marketing campaigns. The ability to successfully analyze data collected through the technologies you use for marketing is an approach not many marketers have taken the time to discover. But those who have are welcome with new and better marketing opportunities. One of the best things about data-driven marketing is using it to gain a competitive advantage. The ability to know how you rank against your competitors and how you can surpass their marketing initiatives is power that different types of marketing data has provided to businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, it is heartwarming to observe that some notable Ghanaian businesses have adopted and are appreciating the relevance of data in their marketing plans. The decision of Data Bank and Melcom to fill a gap in their respective areas of business certainly lends itself to ability to explore and identify the needs thereof. Without careful analysis, these and other similar organizations couldn't have succeeded in their enterprises.
Other members of the CIMG also received recognition for their contribution to marketing in Ghana.
And this is how far time will permit us on the Monday edition of the Marketplace. It's been so good having you on board. And of course, do join me again, same time tomorrow. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. Have a good afternoon.